April 25th, 2009, the bright lights of Myrtle Beach were alive with the excitement of spring break. Thousands of young people filled the streets, enjoying a carefree weekend by the ocean. Among them was 17-year-old Brittany Drexel, a high school student from Rochester, New York. Like many teenagers her age, Brittany was looking forward to spending time with friends and creating memories that would last a lifetime. But no one knew that this trip would become the final chapter of her life. That evening, Brittany left her friend's hotel and began walking alone. She was last seen along Ocean Boulevard, carrying her purse and talking on her cell phone. The bustling streets around her seemed ordinary, yet somewhere in the darkness, danger was waiting. As the hours passed, Brittany never returned. When family members learned she was missing, panic quickly spread. Calls went unanswered. Friends had no idea where she had gone. Soon, local police, volunteers, and federal investigators launched a massive search effort. Flyers covered walls and street corners. Search teams combed through miles of coastline. But Brittany had seemingly vanished without a trace. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. For more than a decade, her disappearance remained one of America's most haunting mysteries. Rumors circulated. Leads emerged and faded away. Her family endured 13 years of unanswered questions, never knowing what truly happened to their daughter. Then, in 2022, investigators finally uncovered the truth. A man named Raymond Moody confessed to abducting Brittany shortly after she disappeared. He admitted to sexually assaulting and murdering her before hiding her remains in a remote area of South Carolina. After 13 long years, authorities recovered Brittany's remains and finally provided her family with the answers they had desperately sought. The discovery brought a measure of closure, but it could never erase the tragedy. Today, Brittany Drexel's story stands as a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly a single moment can change everything, and how some families spend years searching for answers, refusing to give up hope until the truth is finally revealed. May 2024, on a quiet beach in North Carolina, a tragic discovery would ignite a national controversy filled with allegations, unanswered questions, and intense public scrutiny. At the center of the story was 30-year-old Mayka Miller, a woman known for her faith, her love of music, and her involvement in church life. To many, she appeared to be building a meaningful future. But behind the scenes, friends and family later claimed that Mayka had been struggling through a difficult and complicated marriage. Just weeks before her death, Mayka had publicly separated from her husband, a pastor named John Paul Miller. According to those close to her, she had expressed concerns about her personal safety and emotional well-being. These claims quickly drew attention after her death and fueled widespread speculation online. On April 27, 2024, Mayka traveled to North Carolina. Surveillance footage showed her making routine stops throughout the day. She purchased personal items, visited a pawn shop, and later drove to a remote area near a state park. Not long afterward, authorities received a 911 call from Mayka herself. During the call, she reportedly stated that she intended to take her own life. A short time later, officers discovered her deceased from a gunshot wound. Investigators examined the scene and ultimately ruled her death a suicide. However, the ruling did little to quiet public concern. Friends, family members, and countless online followers questioned the circumstances surrounding her final days. Allegations regarding her marriage, church leadership, and possible emotional abuse became the subject of intense debate. Despite the speculation, authorities have stated that their investigation found no evidence of foul play. Yet for many people following the case, questions remain. Today, the story of Mayka Miller continues to spark discussion about mental health, domestic conflict, religious communities, and the importance of supporting those facing personal struggles. It is a case that reminds us how difficult it can be to fully understand the battles someone may be fighting behind closed doors. January 2nd, 1999, it was an ordinary winter afternoon in Mesa, Arizona. 11-year-old Michael Biggs was outside with her younger sister, waiting for an ice cream truck they thought they heard nearby. What happened next would become one of the most baffling child disappearance cases in American history. As the sisters waited, ಮಿchael's younger sister went inside the house to grab a jacket. She was gone for less than 2 minutes. When she returned, ಮಿchael had vanished. Her bicycle lay abandoned in the street. 2 quarters intended for ice cream were found nearby. Witnesses would later recall seeing a child on a bicycle moments earlier, but no one saw the abduction itself. It was as if ಮಿchael had simply disappeared into thin air. Police responded immediately. Search dogs, helicopters, volunteers, and investigators flooded the neighborhood. Hundreds of leads poured in. Thousands of tips were examined, yet no trace of ಮಿchael was ever found. Over the years, investigators explored numerous theories. Registered sex offenders in the area were questioned. Potential suspects emerged and faded. One former neighbor drew particular attention after being convicted of violent crimes years later, but no evidence ever linked him directly to ಮಿchael's disappearance. Then came strange developments. Anonymous tips surfaced. In 2018, a dollar bill found in Wisconsin carried a handwritten message claiming ಮಿchael was alive. Investigators examined it, but the lead ultimately went nowhere. More than 2 decades later, the mystery remains unsolved. No arrests. No confirmed sightings. No answers. Today, ಮಿchael Biggs would be an adult. Her family continues to search for the truth, holding on to hope that one day someone somewhere will finally reveal what happened during those 90 seconds that changed everything. February 14th, 2000, in the early hours of a cold, stormy morning in Shelby, North Carolina, 9-year-old 𝗧𝗥𝗔𝗖𝗘 did something that has puzzled investigators for decades. Sometime after midnight, 𝗧𝗥𝗜𝗠𝗘 quietly left her family's home carrying a backpack. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence that she had been forced out, and no indication that anyone inside the house knew she was gone. What happened next would become one of America's most haunting missing child cases. As rain and strong winds swept across the area, several motorists reported seeing a young girl walking alone along Highway 18. One driver even turned around to check on her. But when he approached, 𝗧𝗏 reportedly ran into the darkness and disappeared into a nearby wooded area. By morning, her family realized she was missing. Panic quickly spread throughout the community. Police, volunteers, and search teams launched a massive effort to find her. Helicopters searched from above. Investigators followed every lead. Yet 𝗧𝗏 seemed to have vanished without a trace. Then, more than a year later, a breakthrough emerged. Construction workers discovered 𝗧𝗏's backpack buried along a roadside nearly 30 miles from her home. The backpack had been carefully wrapped in plastic bags, suggesting that someone had intentionally hidden it. The discovery deepened the mystery rather than solving it. Over the years, investigators have continued to pursue leads, releasing new information and appealing to the public for help. Despite countless theories and extensive investigations, no one knows for certain why 𝗧𝗏 left her house that night, or who she may have encountered afterward. More than 2 decades later, the case remains one of the most perplexing child disappearances in American history. 𝗧𝗏 walked into the darkness on a stormy February night and never returned. Her family continues to seek answers, hoping that one day the truth about what happened will finally come to light.